Today I'm going to introduce to you two characters, Silly Sam and Clever Karl. So these are two characters that I've invented and they represent two different kinds of people. Silly Sam is a boastful person who doesn't do so well in life as he would hope, but still kind of boasts about it. Talks about having achieved great things, where in reality he's full of empty promises, low self-esteem, when it really comes down to doing things that matter, and he really has bad habits and isn't really the most amazing person to look up to. On the other hand, we have Clever Karl. Clever Karl, barred the name, is a person who's able to think to the long term. He's able to do things properly. He has good habits, and he's the type of person you'd want to look up to and, I suppose, believe in. And you can trust him. He's a reliable guy, and also the sort of person who does well in life and all things. Now, the names aren't particularly special. Silly Sam, obviously very simple, and Clever Karl, very simple as well. But it's the traits of these people that matter. So, Silly Sam, is the kind of guy, he doesn't care about diet. He just wants to have an amazing body, but he doesn't really put in the work. And then he's, I suppose, surprised and disappointed when he doesn't reach the levels that he wants to reach. So his expectations are very high, but his disappointment is just as impactful when he gets to a point in life where he realises he's failed in that ambition. Clever Karl, on the other hand, has no real expectation. He just knows that he has to do a few things now and again to keep himself in good shape, but he doesn't really have any crazy vision of himself being in amazing shape. It's just about him being healthy. So he has low expectations, and yet he makes very good progress over time because he has consistency. So for this, I've created a graph where basically you have the emotions of Silly Sam and Clever Karl mapped out against each other. So for Clever Karl, he has very happy emotions when he's having these kind of moments of expectation and aspiration. So his graph would be kind of going up like this. But then when he reaches the point where he kind of fails to reach where he wants to be, he has a very sharp dip in emotion and negativity because he has obviously failed. He's boasted about him reaching a certain point, he hasn't made it, and now he feels very poor about himself. Whereas Clever Karl's emotions are very different. They're a lot more stable, a lot more kind of long-term fixed, and a lot more solid, I suppose, and they withstand a lot more negativity in his life without it actually affecting him, because he sees that it's not personal to him. Something happens beyond his control, and everything within his control he does his best to manage and regulate. So for example, again, if he had any kind of aspiration, he wouldn't make it too big or wild. He would just say, this month I want to do this thing, I want to go to the gym this many times, very doable target. And his aspiration isn't high like Silly Sam's. It's much more boring, you could say. It's a lot more basic, but the trajectory long term is a lot more sustainable and consistent. And he doesn't have this negative drop off in emotion and negativity when he doesn't reach the goals that's the way Silly Sam would say it. So I'm going to put up a graph on screen to make it a little bit easier to understand. So here we have a graph for Silly Sam. So you have the big rise in emotion. I'm going to basically something like, oh, I'm going to get really fit this summer. I'm going to, reach this amazing state. Summer comes around, he has to put in the work, and now he's got this negative drop off. He feels bad and poor about himself. Whereas Clever Karl has got a much more stable graph, not as choppy, not as exciting, but long term he gets there. So on the top right of the graph, you can see he reaches the heights that that's basically that Silly Sam wanted and perhaps even needs, but he's never going to get there because he has the wrong mindset. He doesn't have the long-term mindset, the marathon mindset, as a term I've heard before. This marathon mindset, you're going to get there in the end. Might take years, but you'll get there and you'll be in a better place than someone who just kind of burns out very quickly and is kind of silly in their approach. And again, there's two kinds of people. This translates to, let's say, anything else in life. Now, keep in mind, I'm describing two extremes. I'm describing the kind of far left and the far right of this idea. So, Silly Sam is like the complete mess up, the person who has mad aspirations, and poor guy has got no consistency. Whereas Clever Karl is like almost a perfect human, a bit like the good king. So, these traits translate to other parts of life. So, Silly Sam, for example, when he was younger, might have dreamt of having a fast car, lots of money, huge house, incredible wealth, and he would have dreamt for it and he would have wanted it so badly. It's the one thing he ever wanted, and yet he may he may get there, he may reach that wealth, but when he reaches that place, he'll realise that wealth means very little without people to share it with, without people you actually love, and there's always more to have. There's never an end. It's a bottomless pit. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum is Clever Karl, who knows that there's more to life than material wealth. It's probably, one of the least important things when it actually comes down to it. Yes, you need wealth to feed yourself, to house yourself. That's what you need wealth for, and to have that kind of stability. But there's only so much stability you can really buy. Yeah, you can always buy a bigger house, but it's really the same thing. The utility is kind of the same. Depends what you do with it, of course. If you have a family, you need a bigger house. Fair enough. But you don't need a mansion. So Clever Karl understands this. He understands that he doesn't need an amazing car. Any car will get you from A to B. And you definitely don't need multiple cars. He understands what's really important is the people in his life. So, you could say that Silly Sam wants to have material wealth in order to attract people into his life, in order to have loads of friends. But those friends, if they're only there for his material wealth, they're really not the high value friends that Clever Karl has around him. People who he has helped, people who he trusts, people who trust him, who are reliable. They're the type of people you need in your life, not the ones that are here for your wealth. Clever Karl also understands that being balanced in life is super important, that you need to have everything in place, you need to have a good diet, you need to have a good exercise routine, not even routine, just to be partaking in exercise to keep yourself healthy. He believes in kind of being peaceful and not being aggressive, always trying to see the best solution to all problems. He uses his creativity to be a good mediator. And he just enjoys nature and the best things in life at the end of the day. So his life is a lot more balanced, a lot more calm, and a lot more satisfying than Silly Sam's. And again, I have a graph written down on my page here. I've titled it Satisfaction. So a bit like the emotions graph, this is more of a long-term idea. So Silly Sam's satisfaction graph starts super high because he has all these ideas like, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be super rich, I'm going to get there. But then he kind of drops down into negativity all the time because he realizes he never has the amount of wealth that he really wants. So again, it's super choppy, up and down. Whereas Clever Karl's graph never really drops into the negative range. Mostly it's like, I'm happy to be alive, privileged to be alive, I enjoy enjoy being with the people around me who I love. I even like being by myself because then I can think for myself. I am very privileged to be here. I have no massive goals, just want to look after the people around me and take it easy. Enjoy the gym, enjoy sports, enjoy good food. This is Clever Karl's life. Maybe going on adventures, whatever. So he never really drops into the negative range. But here's the important thing. If something big happens in his life, like the death of a loved one, an accident, some sort of traumatic event, he will drop into the negative range for a very short amount of time because he has a much more balanced life and a much better foundation. Whereas Silly Sam, if he drops into the negative range, it'll hit him a lot harder. And he might even go to substance abuse or seek kind of distraction in that kind of realm. Whereas Clever Karl has put a lot of research into knowing what's good for him. He won't really ever do this. Same way, if he goes into the negative range, he has the self-motivation to come back out into the positive range. So really self-explanatory there. So I hope to make kind of a series on this Silly Sam versus Clever Karl concept. Hopefully I'll make more videos on this. In the future, I hope to make kind of graphics for it, make it a bit more interesting, a bit more relatable. But that's introducing the characters. I hope you can see that it's good to be in the middle between these two people, preferably closer to Clever Karl, but again, it's a perfect character, impossible to perfectly emulate, but not to be like Silly Sam. That's kind of what you want to do. You want to be more towards the Clever Karl side of the spectrum. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good day.